Hello, hello, hello. It is me, Rory Paddock, for picksfromthepaddock.co.uk, coming to you live at just gone 8:30 Tuesday evening. We've had day one of Royal Ascot's meeting. Great action today. And myself, Matt, and Luke will be looking ahead to all the best racing on day two. But introducing you now, chaps, obviously we've got Matt and Luke here. Matt, well done. If anyone watched last night's preview, we ended up giving a winner. Blooming heck, pretty impressive, wasn't it?
He was. It takes quite a lot to impress me these days when it comes to horses. I think a lot of horses are overhyped a lot of the time, but the way that horse won today, you just can't help but love him. I mean, the race panned out exactly how I thought it would. Aidan O'Brien had a pacemaker and it didn't with the blinkers on. That went too quick, and he just dropped in behind. I mean, it was absolutely tailor made for him. Quick pace. You know, he's a strong stayer at a mile. He'd probably get a bit further, and I couldn't believe how well he was travelling, turning in. I didn't expect him to be going that well, actually, and he quickened as well, which is something. He's been more of a grinder so far, I think, this season, but I don't know if anyone noticed when he was in the pre-parade ring, he was giving his handler a hard time. He was bucking and rearing.
He wasn't being the most well-behaved, was he?
No, but I mean, what a constitution. I mean, he reminds me a little bit of See the Stars with his constitution. You know, the fact that he takes all these hard races in his stride. And if you go back a little bit further, probably Giant's Causeway, who was nicknamed the Iron Horse. But some horse, and like I said, it takes a lot to impress me these days. But he's a fantastic horse, isn't he?
I mean, can you see him staying in training until next year, or?
Well, I think he'd probably be a better horse, but money talks these days. I mean, Jim Bolger obviously owns the horse, so he's probably realistically. He might end up doing a Dawn Approach and doing like a share with Godolphin or something like that. I don't know if you remember Dawn Approach. They ended up buying into him, but I think arguably be a better horse next year. But it all depends. They're quite sporting. He's quite a sporting trainer, isn't he, Jim Bolger? Obviously, the fact that he's campaigned this horse so vigorously. So, you never know. And I think he'd probably be a better 4-year-old.
So would you be tempted to go further than a mile, 1 mile, 2, or?
Well, the thing is, I think, why do you have to? I mean, if he's nailing everything at a mile, then happy days. But I think he'd 1.25 miles easily within his compass because, especially today, he relaxed okay, didn't he? And
I wouldn't be too quick. I wouldn't be overly happy for 1.5 miles. I think that would be beyond his wheelhouse.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I did wonder whether they'd have a crack at the Derby after he won the Guineas, but he showed quite a lot of speed today. But like I say, if it isn't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, and Luke, one of the big talking points from day one as well was Palace Pier, another win for. I mean, to be honest with you, those two are probably stars of the season so far, potentially.
Yeah. I mean, I expect Frankie was delighted to get off the mark the first race. Always that bit of pressure, isn't there, the first race? And obviously a heavy favourite. And if you're a favourite backer, though, I wouldn't be backing it at 2-7 on, I've got to be honest. But, what was it? Did the job. Not a lot, what was there like not to like, you know what I mean? So did the job well. And obviously Sir Busker ran his heart as well as he usually does. And obviously I thought the other horse, the AP O'Brien, was the Order of Australia, was a bit disappointing as well. But I thought also, I thought Berkshire Shadow was good as well in the 305. Andrew Bolden just seems to get better season on season. Andrew Bolden just seems to get better. His horses just seem to become quite a top trainer now, hasn't he? Really, he just seems to improve season on season. And like you said, I mean, like Matt says, it's hard not to be impressed with Poetic Flair. I think they were the standout performances. Obviously, Batash, but obviously Batash was a bit disappointing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, some punter unfortunately had a £200,000 double on Palace Pier onto Batash. So, right, I suppose. But,
should have cashed out.
Do you think? Oh God, I hate to. I don't know. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I I wouldn't call that quits with Potash, would you? This is the sort of start of the steady decline, or
no? I think he probably needed the run, and like obviously, yeah, he's getting a bit older, but it doesn't stop him at that age, is it? But he probably at that age maybe just needed a run just to blow off the cobwebs a little bit, and maybe that setback was a bit more maybe than possibly they thought. So, but yeah, like I mean,
he's got
yeah. Where would he go? Where would he go next? What would be the next race? Goodwood, maybe, or
yeah, Matt?
Yeah,
that's actually next race.
Goodwood or the Nunthorpe probably.
Yeah.
I thought, like I said, he's always been the type of horse that I've wanted to take on, and I finally took him on and got it right today. But he ran really well, didn't he? I mean, you can't. He was bang there a furlong out, and he was.
Oh yeah, I mean, it looked like the idea of a winner from a furlong out. You're right, until everything came down the middle.
Definitely, but Oxted's a July Cup winner. He's no mug. He's a decent horse on his day. Lost his way a little bit, didn't he? I think probably the trip to Saudi, probably didn't work. Well, he didn't run very well, and it's probably just he's taken a bit of time to come back to himself from that trip. Some horses don't like flying, do they? But just a couple. I was amazed to see Arecibo. But I thought he might run on into maybe fourth or fifth, but he's run an absolute cracker, and credit to Robert Cowell what he's done with that horse for a horse that was struggling to win handicap sprints for David O'Mara. That was a fine performance. And King's Lynn, that was the horse I flagged up. He was just starting to get going when he got caught behind some horses, and Oysha Murphy had to take a bit of a pull, which you can't do in a Group 1 5 furlong race. But I thought he was just winding up, and I think he's definitely one to keep on the right side. He's definitely got a future in 5 furlong group races. So I was quite pleased. I was quite pleased with his run. But no, Batash he'll have another crack, won't he? And he might up his game with that run.
Yeah, he'll definitely live to fight another day. Luke, anything to take out of day one? I mean, anything that you'd probably stick in a notebook, or that you were quite impressed with that perhaps didn't win, or?
No, I think like I said, you can any ones you take away, like you said, the Berkshire Shadow would be the one I took away from that, and what was it? Yeah, I said Poetic Flare. Nothing really. I don't think there's anything massively. Poetic Flare. I don't think there's anything massively stand out. Massively you could maybe, but it's like the first day, isn't it? And obviously, I thought the Wesley Ward horses were a bit disappointing. I thought maybe they would be a little bit better, but again, they're 6 furlong. The 6 furlong races aren't really his, are they? So he wants it short. No. So I think he's got a good chance of one tomorrow. But
I mean, personally, it probably potentially sounds a bit like sour grapes. Having a horse that I like that didn't deliver today was Thunder Moon. I think perhaps a tad unlucky. Would I say unlucky? No, I wouldn't say unlucky, but Metal War, the horses didn't have the closed runs. I think he's only ever raced 4 times. He's got plenty of room to progress there. Certainly not be given the sort of campaign that Poetic Flare has. I don't think he's going to be up to that sort of level, but if you see it in a Group 2 or a Group 3 sometime soon, I'd be quite happy to back that and potentially get a generous enough price, with it being so disappointing the last 2 times. Hopefully it will have trained on as what we saw as a 2-year-old. That'd be perhaps the one I'd take out today. But, gents, we do have day 2 to look forward to. A couple of races that we're going to be delving into, the first of which is the 340. We've got that on the screen there. And it is the Duke of Cambridge Stakes. It's a Group 2 race, fillies and mares over the straight mile. Lady Bowthorpe, the current winner. Karen Schumacher on board for William Jarvis, 2-1 favourite. 11-2 Queen Power. Double or Bubble 9-1 and 12-1 Bar. Relatively competitive looking race. Matt, Lady Bowthorpe, perhaps a bit too short at 2-1.
Possibly, yes. If you take her run in the Lockinge at face value, she must be an absolute good thing in this. But that's whether you take that race at face value. It was a fine run. No one's disputing that. I think to finish, what was it, about a length and a half behind Palace Pier in the context of this race, you probably should be even money if she's guaranteed to reproduce that. But she's a very admirable filly, and she has been improving. I think there's no doubt she's been improving, and on occasion she has looked a really good filly mare now. Sorry, but she's got a lot in her favour here, hasn't she? I mean, the ground's fine. She likes a straight mile. She is an absolute solid favourite. But do you want to go in at 2-1? It's just a little bit too skinny, I think.
I mean, she's got the best form in the form book, can't she? Let's be honest. But
absolutely. I mean,
if you imagine there's only 12 runners, it's not like a massive big runner, and you're talking profit for a place from the second favourite onwards at the current price, 11-2 on. Yeah, 11-2 or bigger.
Yeah,
there's got to be value elsewhere. And
well, the other point I'd like to make is that she beat Queen Power, didn't she, at Newmarket? And even though it was a relatively short distance, she won that a lot more comfortably than the distance would imply. And then Queen Power absolutely hosed up at York. So that's another tick in Lady Bowthorpe's boxes, isn't it? I mean, she's finished runner-up to Palace Pier and beat Queen Power, who then went on to win a Group 2.
So we're lumping on the favourite. We've gone from her being overpriced to it now being 2-1. Looks like a really generous price. Yeah.
But the thing is that you know, she does tick a lot of boxes, but 2-1. Like I said, if you could guarantee that she'd run exactly the same race as she did against Palace Pier, she's an even money shot. But she's 5 years old. I don't know. There's just a nagging doubt that there just might be something in here that could compete with her. So
where's your money going, my friend?
Well, having looked at it, I think the two Irish horses, Champs Elysees for Johnny Murtagh and Valeria Messalina for Mrs. Harrington. Out of the two, Champs Elysees has got form in front of the Harrington horse, but I couldn't help feeling last year that the Valeria Messalina just didn't quite get the rub of the green a lot of the times. And, you know, on a couple of pieces of her form, the Matron Stakes at Leopardstown, where she was beaten by Champs Elysees, she ran on well that day. She was only beaten 5 lengths. And the race at Goodwood, where she literally just got touched off in the last stride by One Master, I think is really, really quite good form in the context of this race. And you know, she's quite an alluring price at 16-1. You know,
I mean, best price now 18s with some bookmakers.
I think that's arguably too big on what she's done previously. You can ignore her first run of the season at the Curragh because it was bottomless ground, and all her form has been on much faster. You know, it was first run of the season on desperate ground. I think that might have been the weekend where they were considering abandoning because of the weather. So, you know, you're looking at atrocious ground. That definitely wouldn't have suited. So, yeah, I mean, hard to oppose Lady Bowthorpe, but if you want an each-way selection at a big price that could run into the 3, then I'd probably be with the Harrington runner Valeria Messalina.
And apparently that makes it 2 as well, Luke. You're pretty keen on the
I mean, looking at it, like you said, I think Matt's pretty summed it up well, to be honest. If you look at that One Master after that race at Goodwood form, that it didn't finish out the top 3 in the next 4 races, and it obviously ran at good quality. So it looks like on paper a piece of strong form. Like you said, you can forget the last race. I don't know, with Queen Power, I think seems to have improved this season. I think Sylvester D'Souza, the only thing is that Queen Power seems to be a bit keen a lot of time in a lot of his races, and Sylvester D'Souza is very good, one of the best front running riders, and perhaps it might be her day. But like I said, I wouldn't put someone off back in Queen Power. I just think for the price, I think 2-1 is just a little short, and it might even get shorter. So I think it'd be worth taking her on, certainly with Lady Bowthorpe. So I would go probably Queen Power, and like I said, Matt's each way Valeria Messalina is very good each way, 18-1. You get 4 places. Most bookies are playing 4 places, so yeah, worth doing. Definitely.
I mean, 4 places with 12 runners. You've got to sort of capitalise on these sort of extra places or bigger odds or whatever offers you're going to be flying around for Ascot, you know.
Certainly, if you're an each way backer, I mean, if you're a winner person, then you might not bother. But if you're certainly an each way player, then definitely do that.
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to offer us stuff like that as punters, then it'd be turn them down. I'm the same. I think the favourite is obviously a worthy favourite, but I think 2-1 probably is too skinny. I've done the same chance. I've gone for an each way play. I mean, the one I've gone for is Double or Bubble. It's a course winner. It's done really very, very little wrong in 4 runs so far. It's got to improve markedly, I know, compared to what it's done to be now in group company. But you can't really fault her, you know. She also gets an allowance there as well. And I just think, yes, she needs to improve a lot. But compared to half the field, you know, you're looking at the likes of Lavender's Blue or Onassis, who've got form figures, you know, up, down, left, right. They aren't the most consistent types. Even Lady Bulldog, she's been great this season, but prior to the end of last season, you've got 2 6th place finishes. Double or Bubble seems to be on an upward curve, on an upward trajectory, and I don't think that could necessarily be said about that many in this field. James Doyle, more than accomplished jockey, has attracted a bit of market support now, 12 into 9s. Again, like you said, Luke, some bookies paying 4th. I'd be surprised if that wasn't in the top 4. 9-1. All right, you're not going to get an absolute ton of money for that placing, but you get a bit of profit, and that's the aim of the game.
She is completely unexposed, isn't she? I mean, she still could be anything. I mean, we were talking about the ratings yesterday in the King's Stand, and you know, if some of these horses haven't actually had a chance to perform in these races to gain that rating, you know, that doesn't mean to say they're not capable. So
I mean, Connections clearly think highly of her. She's been handled with kid gloves. She's only had 4 runs to her career so far as a 4-year-old.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And the yard's been in good form this season.
Yeah, so I'm more than happy with that. 9-1. I mean, probably the right price. You know, I mean, I'd like to have been on double figure odds, but 9-1. You know, in a race that looks really open, more than happy to side with that. Moving on, chaps, the next race on the card is the big race of the day. It is the 420, the Prince of Wales Stakes. Love is the current 13-8 favourite. Lord North 9-4. Armory 7-2. 16-1 bar. 7 go to post. So if I were to kick things off, personally, I actually think Sangarius would have been a decent shout at 40-1, but with there only being the 7 runners, I just cannot find an each way alternative to basically take Lord North or Love out of the equation. I'm going with the Gosden runner, Frankie on board, course and distance winner. Again, return to action with a win. I think Love, 300-day absence is going to be somewhat telling. And also, the O'Brien Ballydor horses weren't exactly impressive today. Bit of a question mark for me. A horse that's been there and done it. Frankie on board, who's obviously started with a winner already. Yeah, an obvious choice, but I can't see it being outside of the first. I can't see the winner coming from outside of the first 2 in the betting. And I'm going to side on the side of the Gosden runner. Luke?
I'm gonna be boring and go with Love. What did she do wrong last year? I just think that. I mean, Lord North. I think Lord North is a certain threat, definitely, and I think, like you said, I can't see the top 3 being any outside the top 3 in the betting. But I just think in Love, I just think it's just easy and everything like that. She's just as brilliant last season. I think she just matured, and I think again another year under. The 300 days a little bit of a worry, but. It looked effortless sometimes, a lot of time last year. And I think, it is too short. Probably is a little skinny. It's a little bit skinny for what I like. But I just think, I just stick with Love with this one, I think.
I mean, you can't really crab what she's done so far. I think the only thing that has...
Armory was impressive at Chester, I thought. Didn't beat a lot that day, but was pretty impressive on that day. And I think the ground was probably slightly on the soft side, which she probably didn't want. So it's probably a bit better on the quick side this day, because it's obviously going to be fast. It's the rains. Is it rain Thursday? Weather's all right tomorrow, isn't it? It's supposed to be quite nice.
Yeah, shouldn't see anything of sort of sunk into anything.
Yeah. Are they watered it tonight, overnight, or are they?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of.
Definitely not. Probably rain now.
Well, probably will do once they go live. That's it.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna. Yeah, it is boring. It's a bit of it's a bit of a cop out, but yeah, Love's the one for me on paper to me. And it might drift. It might. But yeah, he said you've got to be a bit worried about the form of O'Brien. None of them exactly shone today. So, but you'll get a winner. It's bound to. It's not going to go 2 days.
Yeah, our famous last words. Matt, do you think it's the easiest forecast we'll see of the whole festival? First and second favourite in either order?
No, I won't go that far. I wouldn't be surprised if Lord North went off favourite in this ultimately tomorrow. Love is a fantastic filly, isn't she? I mean, she's won a Guineas and an Oaks and a Yorkshire Oaks. I think ultimately 1.25 miles will be her optimal trip. Which sounds a bit odd saying, considering she's won 2 Oaks, but she's got a lot of speed as well, and she showed that in the Guineas. So I think 1.25 miles is a stiff 1.25 miles is her trip. But I think at the current prices, Lord North has to be the most sensible option for me because he's been here, he's done it. He's not going to mind the ground whichever way it goes. He's a fairly comfortable ride in a race. The thing that we've touched on it, haven't we, already, about the Ballydoyle situation, and without sounding too drastic, if you take St Mark's Basilica out of the equation, there's no doubt that things haven't gone well for them, in my opinion, this season, because they've been picking winners up along the way. You'd expect that, wouldn't you, from someone who trains 300 plus horses and got the quality. But I think, in my opinion, it's been a pretty average season for O'Brien so far, and I can't help feeling that Love is vulnerable on her first start back this season. And Lord North is a straightforward horse. I fell in love with this horse when he won the Cambridgeshire. He reminds me very much of a horse called Halling that won the Cambridgeshire for Gosden back in the day. I think he won that off about 89, ended up being a Group 1 horse. Lord North has done exactly the same thing, won the Cambridgeshire off in Mark in the 90s somewhere. Now he's rated a pound superior to Love. She gets the mare's allowance, obviously, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Lord North go off favourite in this tomorrow. And I think Ryan Moore is in a very difficult situation here. He can't get off Love. He has to ride Love no matter what. And, Armory's no mug at all.
Do you think anything gets in between the Love and Lord North for the first 2 spots? Or?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to knock Love. She's an admirable horse, but I just the vibes would worry me a little bit. I certainly wouldn't be ploughing in at 6-4, which is the current price. Like I said, I think they could go off joint favourites, 2-1 joint favourites maybe tomorrow. And I just think Lord North is the solid option based on he's uncomplicated. He's been there. He's won at Ascot before. There's a slight shadow, maybe, in my opinion, over Ballydoyle, and I'd be surprised if the winner doesn't come out the front 3. Almost certainly, I think Daria's target will be the Breeders' Cup again at the end of the season, and the other 3, I think, will probably be outclassed. So, I think I can't get away from Lord North. He's just too solid for me.
Yeah, thank you very much, chaps. So, third and final sort of question to sort of throw at you. Obviously, we've done the 2 big races of the day, as it were. Well, obviously got a plethora of other horses, other races to go through. We're not going to go through, obviously, all of them, but what I do want from you, and I'm going to start with you, Luke, away from those 2 races, your best bet of the day for day 2 on Wednesday, Royal Ascot.
My best bet of the day is in the first race. It's a Wesley Ward horse, Twilight Gleaming. Now, Wesley Ward won this last year with Campanelli, which was very impressive. It's 5 furlongs. It's good to firm ground. This horse ran at Keeneland last time on exactly the same ground, exactly the same distance, pretty much, and absolutely hacked up and one tap of the whip, and it was away. Again, might not be a lot, but I just think, and I just think that this horse, I think he's going to get a win at Wesley Warden. I just think, he's got a raider there, and he's just sent a few over. He doesn't send over ones. He doesn't send over ones he doesn't think he's seriously got a chance of winning. And I don't think on paper there's a lot more. But really, there's not a lot. I wouldn't say this season there's been loads of. I know you could disagree with me. There's not been loads of 2-year-olds that stood out. Do you know what I mean? There's not been many that have really stood out this season so far. What I've seen. I mean, there's probably more to come, obviously. But in terms of the UK 2-year-olds, I don't think it's overly strong. But I just think that it's got found the 5 furlongs is perfect, and most of his wins at Royal Ascot has come at 5 furlongs. And I just think Twilight Dreaming, first race of the day, it's pretty short, a 9 to 4.
Ward seems to have thrown a fair few more darts this year than normally. All right, today's were a bit disappointing, but
I think because of COVID, wasn't it, last year? I think probably because it was the pan. Well, he couldn't travel over, could he? I don't think he could travel over personally. So I think that's probably why, and he's actually there, isn't he? So. He loves it, doesn't he? So, but it's fair play to him to come over and attack it. I quite like that. It's nice to have a bit of international flair to the show. So, Twilight.
Twilight.
Just before I mention mine, I agree with Luke. I think Twilight Gleeman. I think the most interesting angle for her is her draw. She's drawn quite near the stand side rail, which I think is probably where you want to be. The King's Stand race developed up the stand side rail, and I think that's probably where he'd like to be. And she's drawn near that rail, and I think, if she shows the usual American gate speed, she can get across to that rail, and which is a massive help for 2-year-olds. And I think I agree with Luke. She's not going to be much of a price, but I think she'll whiz up that rail and win. So I've gone for a slightly easier option, the Hunt Cup. I've gone for Astro King in this. Michael Stout's. It's he's a lightly raced 4-year-old. He's rated 98. Not many miles on the clock. He's a classic stout improver as they get older. He's really eye catch and run last time in the Thirst Hunt Cup. A course that wouldn't have suited him. They run round a bend. He was drawn a bit wide that day. He took a bit of a while to get into gear, and he was absolutely flying at the finish. Probably would have won in another 5 strides. He's got a lovely race and weight, 8 stone 13. Like I said, this has probably been the plan, I guess, from the start of the season, on his way to possibly a listed or Group 3 event. And haven't mentioned the draw in the Queen Mary with Luke's selection. Astro King's drawn 27 here, which is hard up against the stand side rail. I think most of the quality horses are drawn up against that rail as well, because I give Brunch a chance. He's drawn 25. Matthew Flinders, he could still be improving. He's drawn quite high, middle to high. Hakiki, another Gosden runner, is also drawn 20, and the favourite, which is another Gosden runner, which has obviously been a bit of a plunge on because it hasn't run for 277 days, Magical Morning, is also drawn in the 20. So I think that's where the action will be. But I've just got a feeling that Astro King might have a little something up his sleeve. So brilliant value at 7 to 1 for a race like this, but
best price 10s at the moment. Best price you can get is
going off William Hill again. They were stingy last night, and it looks like they're stingy again. So I'll happily take the 10s. Yeah.
I mean, for all your madness of going for a horse in what is a 30-runner race, I'm following suit there, Matt. I've gone for a horse in the same race. Is that a massive price? It's currently, I think, if I have a look there on screen, it's currently 40 to 1, and it's the only course and distance winner in the lineup.
That Cliffs of Capri.
It is Escobar.
Is it, I quite like Cliffs of Capri. In that race, his form figures at Ascot are really good. I mean, if you get 8 places, it's like 40 to 1. It's 100 to 1 on Bet365. Cliffs of Capri. If you fancy that, that's top 5. But I certainly would put off that. I mean, it's weighted to the hill. Admittedly, it is quite weighted high, but.
I mean, drawn up there near Matt's as well and stalled on 20.
I would certainly wouldn't even get big price. You can get like 8. I think Sky Bet are doing 8 places on that, but I would, Cliffs of Capri at 101, 5 places is not. Hadn't been at the top 5 at Ascot. I mean, it wouldn't. you know, it wouldn't surprise me. It runs his heart out, but
yeah.
no one
I
put
mean,
me up
to be honest with you, Lou, similar reasons to why I'm going with Escobar, really.
Yeah.
Last 2 runs over course and distance in handicap company, first of 20. Prior to that, second of 20. That's in his last 2 starts. Bearing in mind, specifically in handicap company, only a pound higher than his last one in Mark. David O'Meara, obviously, he's not going to send one down here for a holiday. That win over course and distance came in the Balmoral. And if I just test your knowledge here, Matt, do you know what finished second behind it?
In the Balmoral?
In the Balmoral 2 years ago, I think it was 2019. Escobar won off a mark of 105. It's now on 106.
No, I can't.
Well, I'll tell you, it's the horse that we've tipped earlier on in the day, Lord North, who finished second.
North, yeah, of course. Yeah.
So, I mean, in terms of franking form, all right, we know that, all right, what horse won that day, and they've gone off in completely different trajectories. But in terms of, I know it's not run on paper, but you'll take that as a bit of form. I just think 40 to 1 is a massive price. That's the reason about a horse who loves it here at Ascot. It has drifted. I'm not going to lie. It's gone from 25 now out to 40s. But it's on a decent enough mark considering what it's done previously. You know, yes, it's certainly up against younger legs now and horses with perhaps more promise. But I'll take it. The 7-year-old is not exactly a massive OAP. Do you know what I mean? It's not a major on the whole veteran side of things. 7 isn't, past it by any stretch. And, he's got really good form in the book. A big price, I'll take it, Wouldn't have to be a superstar to take a hand in that. And like we probably said,
his last 2 runs wouldn't have been run to suit anyway. No. Small field. I mean, his prep run at Epsom was perfectly acceptable, and he got beat 3 lengths by Oh This Is Us. Your small run of field round there is no good to him. He loves these cavalry charges. They go a million miles an hour, and he picks them off late on. It's not the most obscure pick, definitely.
No, like I said, I just think at 40 to 1, I just think that's a way too overpriced, considering course form and what he's done previously. But thank you anyway, chaps. What I will do now is I will bring up what we're all backing. You can see there in the Duke of Cambridge. We've got double or bubble, Valeria and Marcelina for both of you. Lord North for me and Matt and Love. And then there are bets of the day. Obviously, make sure that you visit picksfromthepaddock.co.uk. We'll be previewing every single race on Wednesday. Myself, Luke, Matt, and the rest of the boys will all have their selections ready to rock, as well as our naps in the Racing Post. They'll be posted up across all of our social medias. As always, thanks for any comments, likes, and shares. Fingers crossed, and good luck for day 2 of Royal Ascot if you follow.